Hey guys, it's Hart going to be breaking down this 6 game NBA slate here for Saturday night on DraftKings, talking through some of my favorite early core plays, building a lineup around these core plays, all the good stuff, game by game breakdown, pivot plays, all that stuff is going to be in this breakdown. So make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the video. Before I get into it, just want to say follow me on Twitter at HartDFS, as well as check out my free Patreon where I go more in depth. Yesterday I did just more of a core play look, and then before that, if you can scroll down a little bit, I do just more in-depth write-ups. As you can see, I go through the key injury news, game-by-game breakdowns, highlighting who I'm looking at, who I'm not, some pivot plays, the spread, the game total, all that good stuff, or look top options, building blocks. I'm going to start adding more once we get closer to the playoffs in terms of like hot and cold list, all that stuff. So make sure to check that out. Once again, if you guys could hit the like button, it does really help my channel. And yeah, let's get into this breakdown. So we are waiting on some news here that could definitely change the slate and affect it. So for Miami, they just played last night. So coming off a back-to-back, we know there's been times where Jimmy Butler's has rested. A guy like Victor Oladipo, who's been out and just played last night, played 20 minutes. He could potentially be rested as well. So there could open up a bunch of value. Kyle Lowry is already ruled out as well. He's been out for a while with that knee injury. So we could get a good amount of value here with Miami versus a great matchup versus Charlotte. So this is definitely a game we could definitely target. If Jimmy gets ruled out, obviously Bam and Tyler would look great. I prefer Tyler just because of his price tag difference, but Bam looks solid as well. We know he's massive upside. Him and Tyler both have huge upside when there's no Jimmy. So yeah, it's really just right now just focusing on if we get that news or not. So right now it's hard to say, but I mean Tyler Hero was god awful yesterday. They end up losing without Giannis playing, which is surprising. But yeah, I think Tyler Hero is kind of the standout for me as of right now. Then if Jimmy is playing, I think I'd still be fine going to Tyler Hero. Otherwise, there's no real standouts. Gabe Vincent did start. I guess he's an okay value, just not heavily involved. So not a lot of standouts right now. We just kind of had to wait for that news. Kevin Love did start. He was solid, even though he did not score a single point when 0-4 shooting. Zeller got some backup center run. So right now, really the only interest for me is going to be Kevin Love and Tyler Hero. But hopefully we get that news. Then I'll make some pivots on my Twitter and free Patreon. Moving on to Charlotte here. We have LaMelo Ball, whose price tag came back down to 10-4, which is great. Obviously not the best matchup versus Miami, but he's gone for 50 in, what is it, 5 straight games now, 60 in the past 3, so he's been amazing. PJ Washington is questionable, most likely doubtful, so I would assume they're going to start Kelly Oubre off the bench, be LaMelo, Terry Kelly, Gordon Hayward, and Mark Williams, and they'll bring Dennis Smith Jr., Nick Richards, and I'm assuming a guy like maybe Book Knight, Kai Jones, JT Thor off the bench. No real interest in them. It's pretty much the starters for me. Mark Williams, price not that interesting as of right now. So let me go back real fast and just throw in, where is he? Tyler Hero. We'll throw in Kevin Love. Yeah, but going back to Charlotte right now, the only standouts for me are going to be LaMelo Ball and then Kelly if he's not on a minutes limit. Now, they played last night as well, so it could be a potential spot where he sits. If he does, that opens up more of those, bench guys, which if once you get the starting lineup, we could definitely land on one of those bench guys to be a nice filler piece at the flat minimum price tag. But right now, the really only standouts for me are going to be LaMelo Ball, maybe Kelly if he's going to be playing. And Gordon Hayward's fine. He had a great game last game. Past 2 out of 3, he's been really solid. So, you can definitely land on him. He's a fair play there at 5,900. Moving on to Indiana and Orlando. For the Indiana side, I think Halliburton and Halliburton and Turner are my favorites. We saw them both have huge games last game. Obviously, you can't expect 13 to 15, 8 to 10 from 3 for Turner, but we know he has that upside. So a little bit of a tougher matchup. Orlando is a little bit bigger. But yeah, right now it's just kind of the 2 guys at the top. I don't mind Hield as like a contrarian play. It's just super hard to get landed on him at times. Mather's price came up a little bit. I think right now Naismith and Tice are the most appealing to me. Naismith, if he's going to see 30 plus minutes, he's a very, very strong value play at 4,100, even though he's pretty score independent. And then Tice, he's been productive when he's seen 15 to 22-ish minutes. So right now it's just kind of eyeing in on those 2. Right now I do like Naismith is some value for right now. Obviously that could change once we get more news, but do like Naismith there at 4,100. Has seen 30 plus minutes the past 3 games. Obviously, it's not guaranteed, as you can see. 30 minutes, 14 fantasy points, 24 minutes, 12, 26, 12. So we know he has a pretty low floor. Really need him to hit his shots, but he can be super productive when he's out there. So I do like him at 4,100. in terms of Orlando, once again, Paolo just can't shoot the ball. He's been god awful shooting, so his floor's been terrible. Fultz has come up to 6,600. I don't love that price tag. He's been pretty consistent recently, so you can definitely land on him, but not that elevated price tag. I just don't think there's a need to go to him. I do like Wendell a little bit. He's had 2 solid games back to back. It's just the minutes aren't huge on him. He's barely seen above 30 minutes. So right now, Evans kind of just a secondary option for me on Orlando. Cole Anthony's been productive off the bench. But that's really it. I wish Jonathan Isaac would get more minutes. He saw 16, which is the most. I mean, if this dude's going to see 20 minutes, I do think he'd definitely take a shot on him at 3,400 as like a punt play value play. And then Bobo's kind of fallen out of the rotation. So right now, just don't really feel great about anyone on Orlando. On the Pelicans side, BI 8,500, the price came down. I do like him. He's been productive since he's been coming back from that injury the past 2 weeks. So I think he's solid. CJ, I do like the price a little bit more on CJ. He's been productive as well. So I think I'd land on CJ. J-Val, it's just minutes, right? If you think he's going to get close to 30 minutes, he should be productive if he's not in foul trouble. Has room for 45 plus fancy points, but that's just the risk with him. So right now, he's just a very solid GPP risky play. And for that reason, I'm not going to go to him right now. But we'll have to wait and see. In terms of the rest of the team, they did start Josh Richardson, which is interesting. If he starts again, I think he's a fair value play there at 4,200. I think they moved Trey Murphy to the bench. So he came off the bench, played 23 minutes. Just not a lot to like here. Obviously, Larry Nance is there as well. If you think J-Val gets in foul trouble if they don't close with him. So right now, kind of the focus for B, Brandon Ingram, CJ, J-Val for that risky GPP play if you want to go that route. And then Josh Richardson, if he does start, I think he makes for a fair value player. Moving on to the Knicks side. Another team coming off a back-to-back. Randall coming off one of his best scoring games of the season. I think he tied a career high 46 real life points. Did not do anything else when it came to rebounding or assists. Another decent matchup here against the Pelicans. I think I prefer getting to Brunson. I think it's a little bit easier of a matchup, him going against CJ defense instead of Randall going against J-Val, which okay defender, or if they put one of their wings on Randall. We'll have to wait and see. But I think right now Brunson's kind of the one who's my favorite. But Barrett's there. The minutes just have not been great on him. Wouldn't be surprised if they just trade him after the season. This team just does not fit or work together. But that's really it. Mitchell Robinson was back, played 28 minutes. I think he might be my favorite play on the Knicks side here. He has huge upside for GPPs, and that's kind of what you want. So, yeah, I think right now it's going to be Mitchell Robinson for me is kind of my favorite play on the Knicks side. Moving on to Denver. Jokic going against Memphis. I mean, we just saw what Embiid did to them, and that was with him shooting like 2 of 40. He put up 75 fantasy points. Jokic coming off of a massive triple-double game, 24, 18, and 13. I love him here in this matchup. Going to be super popular, but for good reason. It's just a fantastic matchup. And I do really like Jamal Murray. Came back, played 33 minutes. Still was decently productive. I mean, if you look at the games before that, 62, 54, 48, 37, 43, 45. He's been great. So I do really like Jamal Murray. I think I'm going to throw him in there over Tyler Hero as of right now. I really like the stack of Jokic and Murray. I think it's very, very solid. Aaron Gordon is questionable, but it looks like he's not going to play. So that does help out with guys like Murray and Jokic in terms of their usage. Porter Jr. will be fine play there at 6,000. Caldwell Pope's price did come up. I mean, he's okay. 4-7, 6-6, 3-5. He's just been shooting lights out. Hard to trust that, but he's an okay play. Bruce Brown just hasn't really been involved. You can definitely go to him as a fair value play at 4,300. Maybe if he sees mid-20s minutes, he can get you there. Reggie Jackson did see 18. I guess you could take a dart throw on him. I don't feel great about that. And then Concar should start again, should see mid-20s. He looks like an okay value play. So right now, main focus is just going to be Jokic and Murray for me. Adding Murray in with Jokic definitely helps you get a little bit different from the field because a lot of people are just going to jam in Jokic. And not a lot of people are going to want to play Murray just because of his price tag. People just still don't believe he's the player that he actually is. And so for that reason, you can definitely get some ownership leverage with that Murray and Jokic stack and pair. Morant, 10K. I do like that price tag coming off a terrible shooting game. I think he looks solid here. Jamal Murray, not the best defender. Bane, Jackson Jr. They're there. Just not real standout plays to me. Still would rather get to Ja over both of them. Tillman, you can definitely go to him. He does have some upside, but there is foul trouble risk. And I do like, Brandon Clark. He really screwed me. Got the start. Only played 15 minutes. Yeah, it's absolutely screwed me. Was one of the best GPP plays on the slate at 9% ownership and did nothing because he got in foul trouble. Even though Triple J was the one guarding the beat, so that was frustrating. But if he starts again, I do really like him there. Um, I would assume they kind of go with the same starting lineup: Ja, Bain, Jackson Jr., and then they'll throw Clark at power forward and Brooks as well. So I think, Jaren Jackson Jr. will be matched up on Jokic. Maybe they bring Tillman in. We'll have to wait and see. But whoever starts, I think they're solid. I still like, Clark's off the bench. But that's really it. And then moving on to Boston and Philly. On the Boston side, Tatum looks great at 10-5 and a fantastic, game to watch here between Boston and Philly. Oh, we know he has massive upside. So his price coming down. So I do really like him. Brown's price came down as well. He's been super solid. He's been super aggressive. I don't like the secondary pieces. Sure, you can land on them to get different from the field in terms of GPP. Robert Williams maybe catches my eye a little bit, but it's really just hard to trust these guys guarding Embiid. I think Grant Williams, maybe they'll trust him. You could definitely take a dart throw on him as value, but nothing really stands out to me besides kind of Tatum and Brown and maybe taking a shot on Robert Williams. Moving on to Philly, Embiid looks fantastic. Harden looks fantastic as both, spin-up plays. I do really like, once again, Maxey and Harris as those like mid-range value plays. Maxey's a little bit more score independent. Harris can do a little bit more of the dirty work. He coming off a solid game there. Really stepped up in that second half. I think he had like 5 fancy points through the first like 2 or 3 quarters. But yeah, I think those 4, kind of the main 4 guys are the standouts to me. You could definitely take a shot in Melton. He does have some upside if he's hitting threes, but he's been in some foul trouble recently. The minutes have been down. I think he's an okay value play. Then moving on to the last game. Right now, we have the Spurs versus Utah. Johnson should be good to go. Collins should be good to go. I do really like the upside here. We know Utah gives up a ton of fantasy points to the opposing teams. Centers, I really like Branham. The minutes are there. He's blowout proof. He's been super aggressive recently, so I think he looks pretty solid there, even though the price came up. But if Trey Jones is back, then I don't like Branham. If Trey Jones is back and off minutes limit, I think he looks pretty solid. If someone's back, you definitely take a shot on him. He looks okay, but no real standout plays for me. Graham should move to the bench if Trey Jones is back. If Trey Jones is out and Graham starts, I think he looks pretty solid. So a good amount of injury news to wait for here. You could definitely, it's tough because, the Spurs are pretty gross. And if those guys get ruled in, then you're kind of screwed with your lineup because it's the last game. It's tough, but you can definitely play that sharp route and build for the fact that maybe Graham starts again alongside Branham. They'd both look really, really solid. Sohan, you could definitely play him. So yeah, you can definitely kind of go that route. I don't know if I'm going to build that route right now. We'll have to wait and see. But in terms of Utah, Laurie always just going to be a solid spin-up play. I think coming off his best scoring game of his career. Or no, 49 there versus Houston. But, I mean, he's been fantastic this season. I don't mind him. Same thing with Clarkson. Great matchup here. Kessler, I think he still looks way too cheap at 6,300. We know he's massive upside there with the block. So, once again, I really like him. It's going to be hard to fit him in just because, there is Kevin Love. We do have Jokic as well. So, you're going to have to make some tough decisions at the center spot with Embiid, with Kessler, with Jokic, with Love. So kind of have to wait and see what the value kind of turns into to kind of make the right plays there. Horton Tucker, once again, should probably start. Played 30 minutes the past 2 games. I think he looks way too cheap there at 5,500 for his role. He's going to be a big playmaker. Kelly Olynyk is also questionable as well, so that could definitely solidify Horton Tucker starting in this game. So, Sexton's out once again, so it just means more usage and run for a guy like Horton Tucker. They will bring off like Frank Jackson, Chris Dunn. It's just hard to trust these guys. They're just more of like filler pieces off the bench. Maybe you could take a shot on Frank or Chris Dunn, but don't really love that. Abaji, super score independent. If you want to take a shot on him at 3,400, you can. You just really need him to hit shots. That's really it for Utah. It's pretty much just the main 3 for me, as well as Horton Tucker if you want some pieces. And then sure, you could take a shot on Abaji or Chris Dunn if you want to. But right now, to fill out the rest of this lineup, obviously there's big news we have to wait for, as I mentioned, with San Antonio. You can build around that news. What other news do we have here? Oh, the Miami news as well, if we get that. So there's some news that could definitely change out this lineup, so make sure to stay updated with me on Twitter at HeartDFS. Hit that like button, and let's finish off this lineup here. So for small forward, actually, let's go back to the guard. 5,700 on average we could spend. I do like spending up for Hmm. How about this? I do like Tyler Hero. Let's see if we can get Horton Tucker in there at small forward. And then in the guard spots, I do like in Maxey a piece from that Boston Philly game. We know he's huge upside in forward. 4,700 left over. Brandon Clark, if he starts, that would look pretty solid. You can pay down for Josh Richardson. Maybe he starts again. So I don't mind that. Not a ton to love in this small forward section here, but yeah, I think right now we're just gonna we'll go with Clark and I hope he gets to start again. If he comes off the bench, I still think he's a decent play. He is playing 20-ish, 25-ish minutes off the bench recently. So yeah, I think right now this is kind of the lineup. Obviously, we have a lot of news to wait for. So make sure to stay updated with me. Hit that like button. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.